Let's wait a few more minutes for people to join. Anyone in the chat already? Any feedback from the chat? Anyone commenting? I'm not sure if I can see who's attending on this or not. Let me just go to the main page for Travel Massive. Well, let's go ahead and get this underway. I'm not sure if I'm able to see people on the chat or not, if they've joined. So welcome everyone to the first Travel Massive Vancouver event for 2021. I'm Grant Jurgenite, co-founder and VP Business Development for Checkfront. Checkfront is a SaaS-based booking platform for tours, activities, rentals, and rustic lodging. We are a team of 83, headquartered in Victoria, British Columbia, with over 4,500 customers in 128 countries. Today's topic, traveler intent for 2021 and beyond. I will introduce our guests shortly, but first I want to shout out to my team, Christina, Alicia, Arthur, and Ian. Thanks for supporting me to launch this event. Travel Massive Vancouver is always looking for people to volunteer for the leadership team and help make these events the best they can be. If you want to get your brand out to the community, consider Travel Massive sponsorship. Please contact Arthur or myself if you would like to sponsor the next event, Thursday, May 20th. Please send in your comments and questions as well as, Siri's going. Please send in your comments and questions as well as important topics or guests that you would like to see in the next event. Some BC programs I want to share with you. Let's see if I can share my screen here. So the Tourism Resiliency Network, this is one of them. The links are also shown below the event if you would like to go there. And the other one is Launch Online. I know with Launch Online, they've had hundreds of applications so far and should be open for another week or so. I will include the link, as I said, just below, and see if you're eligible. Some great programs there to see if you can take advantage of. And we'll add Chris to the chat. Hello, Alicia. Thanks for your comment there. Good to know that it's streaming. Okay. And so Chris, a leader in travel and tourism, someone I admire and respect, Chris Torres, author of Turn Lookers into Bookers, director of tourism marketing agency, and newly launched OTA Curiosity. In addition, he is also Travel Massive Glasgow chapter leader. Chris put out a COVID battle plan in 2020 and has just updated it with the tour and activity marketing battle plan for 2021. I'm keen to hear some of the conclusions he has drawn from the survey results. So let's dive in. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Grant, how's things? Thanks for having me along.
Yeah, good. I was a bit scared there, just first time using StreamYard, so I wasn't sure if it was actually working or not.
Oh, don't worry. It's we've all been there. We've all had our first moment of streaming the very first time in our life. So it's I completely understand. But no, thanks for putting this together and bringing me along.
Thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, that's all. So yeah, no, part of the reason of being here is to, you kindly invited me along after seeing the battle plan that I put out, and what we actually did was the first battle plan was really something we put out fairly quickly at the start of all the lockdowns and the restrictions back in March, to give a sense of how tourism businesses and tourism activity businesses should market through the whole pandemic. Because I was hearing a lot of people saying they're going to stop marketing altogether, which, in my opinion, is one of the worst things you can do. Though, yes, you might stop paid advertising, things that will cost you money. And that side of it I can completely understand. But there's so many options out there to do free marketing, social posting, writing content, creating a video on your iPhone and posting that up onto your social media. Doing all these things really helps keep you in the forefront of your existing customers and your potential customers' minds. Because without marketing in any sense or form, people will just think that your business is dead, or you're, for whatever reason, you've went out of business and stuff. And if you're not in that stage, then that's the last thing you want to do. Now, back then, it was all about keeping your brand in people's minds. Every customer goes through a dreaming phase of wanting to know which destinations they're going to go to, what type of activities do they want to take out, where do they want to stay, all these different things that come with planning a trip. It's just unfortunate we've had a dreaming phase for the last 12 months of wanting to wish places that we could go to and things that we want to do when restrictions do lift. So it's so important to get in front of these potential travelers during this whole 11, 12 months, because it allows people to then say, okay, I remember this company's ad, or I remember this company's content. This looked like a great activity for a family or for just getting together with friends. Let's go back to their website or go back to wherever they saw them and find out more about it. So it's always important. But with this new marketing, sorry, Grant, you're going to say something?
I was just going to say I couldn't agree more. That we see all the time where, in years past, in 2019, 2018, where everyone was kind of running around with their hair on fire. No one had time for any of these programs to really develop things, or take a deep dive into their products or their pricing, or look at this. Just they were just so overwhelmed. So I agree with you that now is a great time for that.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we've created this updated document. The last time it was more theory. We didn't understand what was going to happen with COVID. No one did. We thought it was going to. I think everyone thought it was going to be over within a month or two or a few weeks, and obviously that didn't transpire. Whereas now, with what we've done, we've created a 200-page report, and we've actually went out, and at great expense, to be honest, but went out and did focus groups, surveys with real travellers, saying, okay, what do you want to, what type of products do you want to take out this year or next year? How are you going to travel? All these different questions that a lot of operators or anyone within the tourism sector will really want to know, so they can better arm themselves to market to these people. What type of products? Is it local, domestic? Are they going to fly internationally? All these different things. And so the report that we've created isn't just coming up with theory. It's actual stats and facts of what people are thinking of at this moment in time. And what we've done is we've actually broken that down as well. So we have some of the stats I'm going to show you here is the sort of the global aspect of the travellers that we asked. But in the actual report, we've broken that down into North America. We've broken it down into UK and Ireland, Europe, Australia and New Zealand. So it's been broken down into the particular regions that we did this report with. But the stats are actually fairly similar. There's a few key exceptions with different destinations, but a lot of the stats follow a similar line. So I can happily share some of them with you now.
And that's like 500 companies plus, right? There are 500 operators plus that you had interviewed.
We did that as well. So yeah. So we surveyed 2,000 travellers, but we also surveyed just over 500 operators. And then the report is actually it's more of a state of the tourism activities sector. How are they? How many did go out of business? How many have stayed through this? How many have marketed all the way through this? And it was, again, that part of the survey is just to get a better sense of. It was more for the benefit of, okay, this is what operators are currently doing, or the sort of situation they're in just now. Here's what customers are looking for or are expecting. Is there any connection or disconnection between what both are doing, and trying to bridge that gap between both to say, okay, this is the opportunities. All you need to do now is maybe change your messaging or change your products or do something to focus on these new opportunities that are going to come up. So
yeah, I guess no one's really surprised that self-guided grew really fast over that period, but interesting results that you can see there.
Yeah, and I'll show you some of them in a second. Self-guided was actually in 2019, the boom year for travel. It was the biggest year for travel we ever had. Self-guided was actually the fastest growing sector even then, and it looks like it's going to increase tenfold going forward. That's not to say guided tours or anything are going to go away. They won't, but there is going to be a massive upsurge in self-guided tours. And what I'm going to show you will highlight some of that as well. So one of the questions that we asked was, do you plan to even take a trip or a holiday as soon as restrictions are lifted? And yes, I actually thought, I would travel 40% or just over would travel internationally. Just under that. So it's almost a 40-40 split. It's going to be domestic. They're only going to look at traveling domestically. That's different for different regions. Domestic in the United States or Canada is doing a drive or a flight to the different states around. For us in the UK, it's maybe flying to another country. So there is differences. But a lot of them will be looking at domestic, and a lot of them will be looking for international. But a large chunk, 21%, have said no, they're not going to look to travel or book a holiday at all. So, which is quite significant. So it's just, again, but there is that sort of split between the middle of international and domestic of what people are actually looking for. But then when we asked sort of deeper questions, their mindset sort of changed slightly, and it's again, we'll show you some of them in a second. But yeah, it's interesting to see how many people won't travel or how they would travel, whether it's international or not. So the next question we asked is, if travel restrictions are lifted in 2021, what type of trip or holiday appeals to you most? So this is where things started to shift a little. So local and domestic was 54.5%. Short haul was 28%, but long haul was 17.5%. And this falls in line with a lot what we are seeing in this research. We have a sort of vaccine section of how the vaccine rollout is going to probably be or possibly be, and how that's going to affect the different destinations opening up. It was actually stats that was gathered with The Economist, so we've added them into this document as well to give some weight behind what we're suggesting. And we suggest that long-haul flights, for the most part, probably won't open until very late 2021 at the least, but probably early 2022. Short-haul flights, that's anything between, or anything up to 4 hours, is going to probably happen half of the year onwards, sort of August onwards. But again, most people are still looking for local and domestic when they actually think about traveling this year. So it's interesting to see that even customers are still looking at, and we know things may change. We know when things improve, these stats could change in 3 months' time. And that's the nature of surveys. Surveys will always change. That's just going to happen. But with the current mindset, it's local and domestic that people are looking for. So it's thinking about your own business. Do you cater for local and domestic? Because if you don't, it's a good opportunity to get into, because the big OTAs, your TripAdvisors, you get your guys, etc., they're not really catered for local and domestic. Someone who's a local in an area isn't going to go into TripAdvisor or get your guide to book an activity that's a 20-mile drive away or anything like that. They're going to find that local business and book direct for the most part. And these OTAs aren't really equipped for that. So it's, again, thinking in your own business, if you don't already cater for the local domestic market, then what can you do to create for that? Because it is going to be a bigger opportunity even this year going forward. So one of the other questions we asked was, and again, I've only got a couple more slides. I won't bombard everyone with lots of stats at the moment, but when traveling in 2021, what types of tours and activities appeal to you most? And this was the one that actually really set me back a bit. It actually surprised me quite a lot in terms of the type of products they're looking to take out. Over close to 60%, over 55% have said they would take self-guided. Private guided, so a group of family or friends with their own tour guide, 32.5%. But guided tours, people going out on a guided group tour, is only 11.3%, which it blew my mind when I saw that. No, again, obviously things can change, but it just shows you the shift of people, their wants and their wishes of being in a more private, intimate group or doing it themselves, away from the sort of guided group tours. And that's not to say guided group tours are dead in the water. They're certainly not. And I see that going to increase in the months to come. But it is certainly showing you that people at this moment in time are maybe a little bit nervous to be in groups, or they just want that extra bit of experience by having their own private guide with their family and friends, probably because they've not seen their family and friends for a long time. They just want to make sure it's just with them, or do that in a self-guided aspect. So I found these figures quite mind-blowing, to be honest, for the industry as a whole.
When you broke it out by country, was there a lot of variance? Like, the idea that certain regions or certain countries have, higher protocols or, better vaccination. Like, for example, I know Israel is very far ahead in its vaccination, almost has its complete population done. And, it's not even relevant really with New Zealand because they don't really seem to have any cases there. So certain areas like that, I don't think you had New Zealand in on your survey results, but as far as Europe's concerned.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
We had Australia and New Zealand in the results. And no, the stats across the board they do fluctuate, but they're fairly similar in terms of which each destination is looking for. No, some destinations are, I would actually say, if memory serves me well, it's some destinations are actually higher for self-guided, and a couple of others are higher for group tours, but there isn't that much of a difference. It tends to
so
all
across the
fall
board, people.
Yeah, it tends to be across the board. Now, their desires and wants to travel internationally do vary from destination to destination. From Australia, it's different from North America or whatever. But at this moment in time, it just seems to be private and self-guided seems to be the biggest drive and the biggest pull for a lot of different people. And I know that's another thing of how can you pivot your business for that. No, in my opinion, self-guided, and I know many companies have managed to change from guided to self-guided. Is you're basically organizing in the same trip. All you're doing is providing that trip to someone and not having a tour guide with them. So that side of it's actually easier to put together because you're already using the same knowledge and tools and everything that you already have. It's just giving that to the customer to then do it themselves. Private tours, again, it's something that a lot of businesses can do because, yes, you may not have the big, large groups that you may want to take out, but I don't see big, large groups happening for any time soon. So changing your business to have those smaller groups, maybe more smaller groups, but that will actually give you, in my opinion, or give the customer a better experience because it's going to be that more one-to-one experience, and that will always be better than being part of a massive group in terms of a tour. So I see a lot of opportunities and a lot of positives from it as well, and I just think it's just how you can change your own business to suit what's possibly going to happen. Like I say, no one has a crystal ball, but change your products and etc. to suit what's more likely going to happen, especially in 2021.
I know in your first battle plan, you had sort of looked at a 18-month kind of window for recovery, and you mentioned in the second battle plan that you sort of misjudged that timeline, as I think everyone has to a degree, just because it's very uncertain as to the level of vaccinations, as well as just how economies will open up in different regions. What would you be your prediction after seeing these results in terms of how long do you think these types of tours, like self-guided, will continue to be strong, or do you think that you'll see there be a recurrence to more in-person relationships? Because some of those are longer. I'm assuming that these are just kind of day or guided trips, as opposed to like a larger multi-day, where you're with a guide or a Sherpa or something like that.
Well, yeah, one of the other stats actually in which we don't have a slide here for, but in the document we did ask the question of which type of or how long would you travel for? Would it be a day trip? Would it be a weekend break? Would it be 5 to 7 days, 14 days, etc.? And most people selected actually and again, this was fairly across the board, selected either the short weekend break or the 5 to 7 days. Those were the most popular. So, and again, a couple of other destinations, maybe 14 days was more popular. And again, with being in North America, I know it's different from the UK. In the UK, we tend to get like 5 or 6 weeks holidays. In America, in North America, it tends to be a couple of weeks and that's it. So there is differences and there's reasons why people can only travel for certain lengths of period. But across the board, it was no more than, for the most part, up to 7 days or a week, sort of short stays and weeks. So that again, it did cater for the whole aspect of day tour and multi-day tour for sure. So yeah, it was pretty much across the board. So it was quite interesting. So what this is one as well that I found quite important to ask, and one of the things that the reason why we wanted to ask this is because we've came across a lot of different operators still who don't have COVID guarantee policies, or at least some sort of flexible policy in place. And it's important because so many potential customers and tourists and travelers are looking for that almost a guarantee to say, okay, if I pay a deposit, if I book now, will I lose that deposit? Will I lose money? Or can I change my dates if things were to self-destruct again and across the world or whatever? They need those guarantees. And what we actually found was that pretty much all of them would only book if there was a COVID guarantee policy in place, over 95%. So, and the other, a small proportion of 4%, 4.2% said it was not important. But the vast majority said it was. And this was, again, across the board. So, and the thing is about COVID flexible policies, or whatever term you want to use, as long as it's offering some sort of flexibility, they're going to be here to stay now. No, they're not going to go away anytime soon. As soon as COVID's over, which is never really going to be over, it's going to be like the flu, the seasonal flu. But as soon as we've got a tight grip on COVID, these flexible terms are not going to go away, because customers will be thinking now, well, why can't we do this all the time? No, why do we need to go back? No, they'll demand that people have these flexible terms. And that makes an interesting point for reservation systems like yourself, having cancellation policies up to the last minute and all these different things and all these things that come with it. But this is what people are going to demand now, and it's not going to go away soon. So it's just highlighting that you need to have these policies in place on your website, displayed, to give people confidence to book and let them know you're not going to lose money. We will allow you to change your dates, and we will allow you to do all the other things, because we know the world is uncertain at this moment in time.
Yeah, we sure see some concern in the charter boat business. Just given that the turnaround time, like how long it'll take to rent that asset out. So if you cancel 2 days out, can they find someone for your space? And rescheduling that, even with pretty open policies, they companies, operators that have to hire staff and bring on staff that are kind of dependent on being there to do a tour or participate in an activity. It really makes it difficult to give that last minute cancellation without any penalty. And I know everyone's kind of grappling with that quite a lot. Yeah,
and I completely understand from a business point of view and an operator's point of view, the nightmare that can create, and the extra admin and everything else. But again, it's one of these things where the industry is moving towards. It's going to get to the stage, maybe not now, but in years to come, it'll be a minute before a tour is going to happen, and you're going to be able to change the date or something. It's eventually going to happen, and it's. But even now, people are now going to look okay, but it gives them confidence, but it also sort of saying, look, you can change your dates. If 30 days before the event happens or the experience happens, you can change your date at any time up to that point. After that, yes, I would maybe have things. There's a company we know in Ireland, and a couple of other companies have copied them in that way or followed suit. But a company in Ireland now offer €100, for they get a lot of customers from the US, obviously. So you pay €100, you can secure a date but you can change that date as many times as you like, up to 30 days before you arrive in Ireland and come over for your multi-day tour. So things like that will just help massively in terms of you gaining those bookings and generating a bit of revenue just now while things improve. And that's not to say you need to take a deposit and wait for the rest of it further down the line. No, now is a prime time to even try subscription type payments. No, allow your travelers to pay a small amount every month until the travel date. So, and that's no regular income coming in as well. So, you know, it's now's the time to experiment with all these different things and try different things and see what sticks with your customers. But as long as you have those things, it will help.
That's an interesting thought, because we certainly see companies that will allow you to pay in segments for your trip. So it's basically like a loan or just a financial vehicle, the same way that you would have on merchandise with larger ticket items. But you know what I started thinking about when you mentioned that is some sort of an advancement on guest listing, where you do have potential customers in that are overflowing that you can kind of bring forward if someone was to cancel. If you are able to replace that with a paying customer, even if they do cancel in short term, you know, perhaps there is like a refund opportunity or reschedule opportunity without a significant impact to the operator.
Yeah, and I know, no, I've been in this industry for a long time now, so, and I know it will be harder for certain operators than others. No, some multi-day tour operators, no, they've got such huge expense at the start. No, a lot of it's front loaded to get everything organised and everything else. And I understand that, but again, that will change through in time. No, it's speaking with your partners, speaking with the people who help you deliver those experiences, especially multi-day, how you can change that and try to get it down as much as possible to make it easier on the end customer, so you can take a smaller deposit. And again, I know how difficult that will be, but eventually that's the way things are going to go. And it's why I think the subscription-based model, if someone can crack that, that's just going to be amazing for the industry. You know, I remember back in the days when we used to travel with my parents. You know, they would go to the travel agent, and you're able to pay your holiday up every single month until the big holiday at the end of the year or in summertime or whatever. Why can't we do that for tours and activities? Why can't we do that for multi-day tours and all the other things within travel? I think allowing people to get back to that is where the industry needs to go. And again, anything that you can do to make it more flexible for your customers is always going to be a benefit. So.
Yeah, well, I've noticed we had a report recently when just this Monday, Boris Johnson had announced a gradual plan to reopen the economy, and I guess starting with schools around March 8th. So there seems to be some optimism that loosening restrictions right now.
I've lost audio on yourself. Sorry.
Can you hear me now? I think Surrey came on there. So yeah, I was just pointing back to the recent announcement that there's been an easement in the UK, and we, Checkfront has seen a real spike in bookings as a result. So in terms of just booking right in time or just booking before, so the cancellation policy isn't really applicable, because people are just kind of getting it on demand as they come, or the week before, or days before, and based on policy that's the government policy, or local policies as to how will restaurants be open, will activities be open, will all the amenities be there to make it like a destination or make it a vacation destination. Is it frozen? Chris?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. Yeah, now I can.
My audio completely disappeared there. So I never heard the end of what you said there, sorry.
Oh, okay. I was just commenting on what was happening in the UK, and that Checkfront had seen a real spike in bookings, and so instead of it being before where you'd book some time out, like you were suggesting, that it's now just very transactional, like the week before, or if the government makes an announcement that there's an easement in regulation, then big spikes occur. People go and start making bookings.
Yeah, we definitely saw that here in the UK. It happened the last time restrictions were lifted. The amount of people that went to Spain and unfortunately had to fly back a few days later because there was another shutdown. But no, as soon as the government said here at the start of the week, we're going to have this almost an end date of when we say, okay, Boris Johnson pretty much says there's going to be no more restrictions. How we can predict it, I have no idea, but he says there's going to be no more restrictions on this certain date. And then there was an upsurge in bookings, people booking flights and everything else. So, no, the demand is huge. The demand is most certainly there. And again, with the research we've done, the demand is there. And even with our own customers at TMA, what we're finding is lots of people are inquiring, lots of people are wanting to book and pay these small deposits and do all these other things. And even if they're not booking at this moment in time, they're certainly inquiring and preparing to when they're more comfortable to then book, etc. So the demand and the influx, it's why I wrote an article recently for Arrival, basically saying, tours and activities, COVID's going to push tours and activities to the stratosphere. And I still stand by that, and it's purely because of the demand that's going to be there. We've been so, enclosed in our own environments, staring at the same four walls we've all been staring at for the last 12 months. As soon as we can get out, as soon as we can travel, as soon as we can live life again, people are going to do that. And the other thing is I've been hearing some people saying, they might reduce their prices to try and get more bookings and everything else. This is the worst time to reduce your pricing. All you're doing is you're going to have less customers because there's going to be possibly less traveling about because there will be certain restrictions still in place. But the demand is going to be so huge that people, because they have been enclosed in their own rooms and homes for so long, if your tour is normally $50 and you decide to make it $80, people will probably pay that extra just to experience something, just to do something different and get out and experience life again. So in my opinion, now is probably the worst time to do any discounting. If anything, you should be increasing your prices.
I agree, and cost structures have definitely changed. So not only has capacity gone down for a lot of operators, but also enhanced like fees and cost structure with cleaning. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure, upward pressure on price, and even with revenue management and talking about optimizing, that last unit, that last seat, that last ticket. I think there is a sentiment where a lot of operators want to try to recoup losses from 2020 as well. That their businesses took a very big hit, and if they can, they would charge a top price. So I agree. They should definitely not be discounting that. They should make sure they have sustainable businesses where they can have a good income year this year if the region allows.
And, and like I say, whether that's domestic, whether that's some international travel happening, I'm actually hoping because the US and the UK, if anything, we've probably been the worst culprits for tackling this crisis and tackling this virus with the amount of deaths, etc. We've both had. But we're also, because of the way we are, we're going to probably get out of it better as well because of the amount of people that are going to be vaccinated before a lot of other areas. So I'm actually thinking, whether it's a travel bridge or a travel bubble or whatever name they come up with, there's going to be that connection between the UK and the US again in North America. So hopefully there'll be more international travel.
There.
Oh,
still able to hear me? Is it on my side?
Can you hear me? Hear me okay? Hello?
Hello, Chris. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Let's see if I stop sharing that screen.
Well, someone can hear us both. I don't know what's going on.
Can you hear us both? Interesting. How's that? Chris, can
I can hear you.
Okay,
I can still
great.
hear
Now
you.
I
So,
can
yeah.
hear you. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties here. It looks like my AirPods just failed.
Don't worry, I think I was having an AirPod connection earlier on. I think that was my issue. So
The joy of technology.
I think ever since Apple changed it, that it's tried to connect to whatever device it thinks you're using. So if a text message comes up in your phone, it instantly changes to that, and that's why I've just switched my phone off just to save that from happening. So,
well, I just wanted to share some actual positive news too. That I'd heard down in SoCal in San Diego that the Marriott is now starting to hire back group sales. So that's kind of a positive step forward that at least they're looking to, still host guests or host some different events. So, it amazes me on how different each region is taking this. Some that are maybe not even wearing masks, whereas others are in complete lockdown and, literally almost in hazmat type attire. So, the regional differences is very measurable.
yeah, definitely. I'm based in Scotland, and much of the UK is this way as well. But no, we rely heavily on a lot of business travel. We have a lot of corporate events happening over here and everything else. So it's not just tourism; it's the event side of things that's been massively devastated by everything else that's going on as well, and that's affected trade over here and everything else. So hopefully everything will, by June onwards, July onwards, will pick back up again, and we'll start to see things happening. No, I'm meant to be going down to London in July to go and see Pearl Jam, and I don't know if that's still going to happen. I hope it does. Although the thought of being in Hyde Park with tens of thousands of other people still scares me a little bit with everything that's going on at the moment. If I've not had my vaccine by then, it might not actually happen. But yeah, it's good. You are still going to get some people who will have that trepidation of, do I want to go into a crowd? Do I want to do this? And that's why I think a lot of them, from the stats that I've shown, they are looking at private guides and self-guided, just purely because they're a little bit scared still of what could possibly happen. So,
yeah, well, that would certainly be a good show to see. Hopefully, vaccinations happen quickly for you guys over there.
Fingers crossed. No, I'm going to be 40. Am I going to be 46 next week, actually? So I'm way behind the pecking order of some of the other ones. So we'll see what happens.
Well, that's great. That's great. Happy pre-birthday. We'll have to reach out and maybe celebrate on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
I also saw in your survey too that you talked a little bit about what people were doing with their time in terms of how to use it, or maybe you could just talk a little bit about how our crowd today can get a hold of your survey if they would like to use it for their research.
Yeah, I've actually got a slide prepared for that. So, one of the things, if anyone who knows me and knows what I do, I tend to put out lots of free content. My last battle plan was free. I made my Lookers into Bookers books free. I opened up my diary to over 100 operators at the start of the pandemic, did hour consultations with them all. But in this instance, we've spent thousands of pounds in creating these surveys and focus groups and going into the nuts and bolts of how people will travel. So, but we also understand that a lot of operators out there are still struggling. So we've only made it $49. It's a 200-page report. It covers North America, UK, Ireland, lots of destinations in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and hopefully, and it's not just stats. No, it's not just saying, okay, here's a question. No, this is the stats. We actually offer marketing advice and business advice all the way through it. So besides each stat, we dive into saying, okay, this is what we think may happen. This is what we think how you can market to this type of demographic. And that's all the way throughout the book. So it should hopefully give operators at least some hope. And I think it does provide hope, at least some hope in terms of how to market to certain demographics, how to maybe look at the type of products that customers are looking for and demanding, and what you can do to attract those customers. So that's the whole point of the guide. And as Peter Syme, anyone who knows Peter Syme, he says for $49, the information included in this is a no-brainer. So, and if you can please Peter Syme, you can please anyone.
This is true. That is true. And I'd be remiss too if I didn't shout out to Kyla Steves from the Checkfront team. She has some great articles on the Checkfront blog on how to come up with a tourism marketing strategy, and a lot of others. So if you're looking for something to do to hone some of your skills, or to, like Chris said, find inexpensive ways to still market and take your product to market and be ready and prepared for some of these spikes, or what they call the travel pop that's I guess up and coming. Please make sure you check some of that material out.
Excellent. And that's what I love about what you guys do as well, is putting out content that helps the industry as a whole. And that's how I always like to do marketing. It's putting out advice and for free. And although in this case, I obviously can't do that, but with the podcast that I do and everything else, it's just trying to educate the industry and making it better in the long run, because it'll benefit everyone in the long run. So I'm a big believer of that. So well done in doing that.
Well, that's maybe a good time to maybe start talking about your most recent project, right? With Curiosity, of which Checkfront is a sponsor, but the kind of how would you phrase it? The OTA for operators, or certainly
well, it's a commission-free OTA. So the reason why I created it, and let me use it. We use the term OTA very, very loosely. It's just because people understand, or most people understand what that term is. But no, again, because I did all those consultations, what really became clear after speaking to many operators is those who are 60, even 50%, 60%, 80%, or even 100%, there's many of them, reliant on the online travel agents for them to get their bookings and their revenue and everything else. Those guys were the most affected after everything locked down. Reason being is, if anyone who doesn't know, OTAs don't provide the customer details for all the bookings that go through. They are in charge of the cancellation policies. They're in charge of all the other things that come with it, with that customer. It doesn't give you the opportunity, if you're a tour operator, to speak to that customer and say, hey, would you like to rearrange for another date, or would you, we can give you a credit for something else, or for something further down the line. They just automatically refunded and everything else. So, and my passion and my drive with TMA as well as Curiosity is to drive direct bookings to operators. So the whole premise of Curiosity is it's a zero commission. It's a $250 a year annual subscription. That allows us to build a marketing pot of all the operators that are on that, to then market the platform, maintain the platform, market the different destinations that are on there, and promote that to the wider world. Now, we're still at the infant stage. We're still very much newbies in here. We know we've got an uphill battle against the big OTAs, and we're not trying to compete with them. No, we're trying to offer something different. We're predominantly using things like Facebook advertising to promote the products and the destinations and the platform itself, which a lot of the OTAs don't touch, or very seldom touch. And it's really also there to try and change people's mindsets. We tell customers that, did you know if you book on one of the OTAs, you're getting charged 20, 30, 40%, or the operators they're losing out on that potential revenue. And in this day and age with COVID and with people looking to generate more revenue, being less reliant on OTAs, not to say you should move away from them entirely, they can help your business as well, but being less reliant on OTAs and having a strong direct channel as well, that's what we're trying to do. So we don't touch customer details. Every single booking or inquiry, if you just want to take inquiries, goes direct to the operator. and it's all about driving those direct bookings. And we're a non-profit as well. Every single penny goes into marketing the platform, goes into maintaining the platform, helps my support team and Nikki, to manage any support requests come in. It's all there to support the operators, and we want this to be a community. We want this to eventually become a community. And I've been very honest with everyone to say, look, we're going to give this 2 years. We're going to see if we can make this work. Some people have said it would never work. I never like to be told that I can't do something or make something work. So I always try to do it. So I thought, why not? I always like to give myself a challenge. So I thought, let's give it 2 years. Let's see where we can get to. If we can make a success of this, then great. No, the operators haven't paid a lot of money. We're putting in a hell of a lot of time and effort to try and make this work. And let's see if we can. If it does work, great. We've got onto something. And then my idea is to actually then give this out to, or create a sort of consortium of operators to take over Curiosity. So it's actually led and run by operators. And with me and my business to help them with the marketing side and everything else, we can help them with that and still have that sort of person in the background who maybe step in and help every now and again. But ultimately, I want that to be run by operators and be completely community-led and something for them to help drive their direct bookings. And that's the dream. That's what I'm trying to do with it. Again, whether it will work or not, time will tell, but that's what I'm trying to do with it.
And do you have any BC or many Canadian businesses in there already, or?
Yeah, there's a couple of Canadian businesses on there, and in fact, one of our very first founding members, purchased 11 listings, so to give them as many tours as they possibly can. It's the biggest Canadian operator, it's one of the biggest ones on Curiosity. So, and that's the whole point is, anyone who comes onto the platform, they can buy as many listings as they want, be limited to 5 tours per listing. No, it doesn't matter if you're a big company or if you're a small company, all that money goes into the marketing pot. The platform will get marketed the same, no matter if whether you're a small or big company. The destinations will get marketed the same, no matter if you're a small or a big company. Everyone is all on a level playing field. Partly because we saw the way some of the industry was going, where if you were on TripAdvisor and used Booking, you maybe get paid advertising and all these other benefits that come with it, which I completely disagree. No, there should be no paid advertising on a platform. It's review based. It's just crazy in my opinion, but that's another story. But having that level playing field, I feel, is important, and that's what we try to do on Curiosity as well. Or not that we try to do, we do that. It's make everyone a level playing field. But I've had people saying to us, look, we'll pay a little bit more if we can get a little bit more extra promotion or do this and that. We just say, nope, that's not how we work. No, we're sticking to our guns. That everyone pays the same amount. You can obviously buy different or more listings if you want, but the marketing in terms of the platform, the marketing in terms of a destination like Canada, everyone's going to get marketed the same. Not one business is going to get marketed more than the other, and that's something to compete against with the other OTAs and sort of some of the methods that they follow.
And when the results of your survey show that, at least in the short term, we're looking at a really strong local domestic market, or that's really where the target should be placed. Do you think Curiosity could be a tool for DMOs or destinations to use kind of as an aggregate for that destination, or would it work in that way?
Yeah, I don't see why not, because unlike other OTAs, again, though, the messaging that we're putting out there is you're helping the local businesses. No, we don't charge them a commission. No, 100% of the booking goes direct to them. That's not the same on any other OTA. So even if customers do book on our website or through our website, or they find them on Curiosity, and then they go off to find that customer online or that other operator online and book directly with them there, in my opinion, we've done our job. No, it's about driving those direct bookings, whether it's on our platform or not. And that's the difference. No, we're trying to inform the customers that when you book on here or when you inquire on here, it's all going to the operator. We don't take a penny. So, and I think that messaging is important. I think people now, with everything that's going on with the pandemic and after the pandemic, I think more and more customers will be more inclined and understand better that they have to help their local businesses. That when you look around your high streets, when you look around you, the amount of businesses that are closing, or bars and restaurants that have had to close, or all these other things, places that you would love to go to again, then you actually, when we come out of lockdown, you actually suddenly realise, oh, they're actually closed for good because it's a small local business that couldn't survive because without passing trade and all these other things. But people are going to realise now that they have to help these local businesses, and I think there's going to be a stronger emphasis of that going forward, and hopefully Curiosity will play a small part in that.
Yeah, let's hope so. I know that that's it falls in line with Checkfront's values, and that's why we chose to be a sponsor there. So yeah, it's really ultimately to sell your product directly. I think that's probably one of the best strategies in taking advantage of the different channels that are there, but diminishing the ones that are really high cost. Right, when you look at what some of the cost is for OTAs, and you're taking that off top line. By the time you get down to after cost, you're not leaving the operators in some cases with enough revenue to be a sustainable business. So it's a tough thing, especially too. I think the motivation with a lot of OTAs, since they're publicly traded, is of course always profit, and that's not always the best thing to have to crank up that percentage year after year or period after period to make their shareholders happy. It can be useful, I think, in businesses that are maybe first launching and you got to get the word out, but once your business matures and you're past that 3 to 4 year mark, there should be a fair amount of repeat business already that you have, and then finding those low cost channel alternatives are going to be great to just sort of protect that margin.
Yeah, for sure. Couldn't have said it better myself. It's using an OTA should be there again to help fill up those empty seats that you may have, or fill up whatever spaces that you have in your thing. It shouldn't be there to drive your entire business and drive all your bookings, etc. If you fall into that trap, and I don't mean to sound disingenuous, but if you are that heavily reliant on a third party to drive your revenue and drive your bookings, you are nothing more than an Uber driver. No, you are a faceless company. Your brand, your company is not getting into the forefront of your customers. It's a TripAdvisor, it's a Get Your Guide, it's a Viator, whatever platform you decide to use. Although you should be on multiple on them to get a better chance. But anyway, no, you're not really growing your own brand. You're not really owning your own business. No, you're just supplying a service or experience for someone else under their brand. And that's why you're nothing, that's why you come Uberized, as it were, underneath that. And some people may like that. Some operators may not care, and that's completely fine if that's how you want to run your business and you're just looking to make a living. Fine. No, I've got no qualms about that. But if you're really looking to grow your own business and grow something that you're proud of and something you may want to pass down to a family member or to sell further down the line, you're not going to do that if you're that heavily reliant on an OTA. So it's something you really need to seriously think about. The best way of growing your business is to be as close to the revenue streams as possible. And the only way you're going to do that is by driving direct bookings.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Chris, I know we're approaching time here. I've been looking in the chat to see if there's any questions for us. It doesn't appear there are, but please feel free to. You can either drop your questions into the Facebook chat or into the Travel Massive page. If we don't have any questions, we can give it a wrap. I would very much like some input from the Travel Massive Vancouver community for the next event, and any suggestions on a speaker that we might be able to bring forward. Chris, I really appreciate you taking your evening and coming on and giving your time with us. And thank you very much for walking us through that survey. And for just being a leader in the tour and activity business. Always great to talk to you.
No, likewise, and no, thanks again for having me along. And can't wait till we can actually meet up again at an event or whatever that would be. So it's been a long time coming. So here's hoping it happens soon.
Yeah, I certainly have been missing Berlin for the that big event, as well as the seeing all the arrival crew. It's certainly not the same with all the Zooms and online meetings, but Have
Thanks,
yourself
Pierre.
a
Fingers
great
crossed.
evening, and
You too.
we'll be in touch again soon. Bye to the community. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, everyone.